this is a pretty surprising team to be at the very bottom of the standings, considering how they did in the first stage. But in 12th place is the Los Angeles Thieves. They went 0-5 in their qualifying matches with a 7-15 map count. They are now one of only two teams this season that have went 0-5 in qualifying matches, after the Paris Legion did the same in the first set of qualifying matches before Major 1. Like I said, the Thieves, they were 4-1 in the last set of qualifying matches, which was, I believe, third place. They were, technically tied for second, but with a tiebreaker, I think they ended up in third place in the major, and they were even a map away from eliminating FaZe from the first major. They actually were reverse swept in the losers bracket finals, or loser bracket semifinals maybe, but they were also a map away from sending the Toronto Ultra to the losers bracket in that same tournament. So it's a very surprising team to be in 12th place. But there are a lot of reasons why they are, and the first and foremost is that they just are probably the most inconsistent team this year, or in this stage, excuse me. And they lost both of their matches this past week. They lost to the Los Angeles Gorillas on Friday, and then lost to the Seattle Surge on Saturday. I'll let you take it away, Bink, because I'm already tired of myself talking. But what did you think of their performances against LAG and Seattle this week to finish off what is a catastrophic failure of a stage?
Yeah, I was expecting the Thieves to bounce back. We had heard Kenny and I think maybe JCat tweeted it. I can't really remember who else, but tweets about like inconsistencies and like bad practice. I can't remember the exact words they used, but we had heard about situations like that happening in the past weeks, and heading into this final week of qualifiers was still a small chance of making the winners bracket for the major. They were 0-3. If they win both these matches, they could be 2-3 and get in with like tiebreakers or something. I was expecting them to, really, put their heads down, grind, try to figure out what's going wrong, and bounce back against two teams that should have been winnable matches for them. It's not like they played Optic and FaZe. They played LAG and Seattle, who, have each had their own inconsistencies this year. So I thought it was a good chance for the Thieves to bounce back, but obviously that's not what happened. Now they're sitting at 0-5, and technically they are the last place team heading into this major, which means they would actually no, I don't think that matters for the bracket breakdown, but regardless, they're just starting this major right away in the losers bracket, which is something that a lot of people wouldn't really expect. And I'm not exactly sure where the Thieves go from here, but obviously, for a roster with this much talent on it, just 0-5 is just not going to cut it. And we've seen the Thieves make roster changes in the past, so if they get first rounded at this major, I wouldn't be surprised to see something happen. But it comes down to who exactly they would change. I don't really know if it's a one-person change. I don't know who that one person would even be if they do make just a single-person change. It's a weird situation because they do have a lot of talent and they've shown flashes of brilliance. Like just before this last set of online qualifiers, at least I was considering them a top 4 team, potentially top 3, and one of the best hardpoint teams in the game. And uh, just basically done a full 180 from there. So not really sure what they do from here, but the pressure's on at this major. Already starting in that loser bracket, they have to come out and perform in that first match right away. And we can talk about the bracket later, but they will play the loser of New York versus Atlanta, which, if that match goes the way most people would expect with Atlanta winning, that would be a rematch of the losers bracket match from the first major where the Thieves played New York, with New York starting in the major, and New York got instantly eliminated. So New York could have a shot at revenge against the Thieves, not being in the best form, but getting a little ahead of ourselves right there. I just think, based on what we saw this last last week and the last couple weeks in the qualifiers, it's been a major slump for the Thieves.
Yeah, and like you said, there could be changes on the horizon. We don't know, but when a team goes 0-5, we saw it with the Paris Legion. They didn't even wait to make changes until after the major. They put in Gravity, and I think they had already planned to put in Jimbo before the last major. And so Paris made those changes, and I don't know how much of a difference. Obviously, Paris did win, and they were win a match in this stage, and they were close to winning several more had they not been reverse swept a few times. But for the Thieves, we talked about it before the season that this roster on paper was incredible because of the amount of talent that it had. And just things haven't clicked just in the past month or so, because it wasn't a problem before the major, seemingly. Like I said, they were like the third best team or the fourth best team. They were in I think both of our minds, they were like a top 4, top 5 team in the league going into the last major, and they nearly eliminated FaZe. Even if FaZe looked kind of vulnerable and not as dominant as we expected them to, I still think that's something to kind of think about, is that they were very close to making the grand finals realistically for that last major. Things have just kind of gone off the rails here in the past like month or so. And I actually saw this video, and this was just a video of clips of Nade Shot during one of his recent streams, and he was I think people in his chat were talking about whether the Thieves would replace JCap, who is the head coach of the LA Thieves, and replace Mud Dog, who I believe is like the general manager of the team, and has been with the 100 Thieves organization for several years, and it was actually part of he constructed the original I mean not the original, but like the original good 100 Thieves roster, that Black Ops 4 roster that was Slasher and Priesta and Octane, etc., that ended up finishing second at the I believe that was 2017, 2018 COD Champs, 2018, I believe, because 2017 was World War II, 2018, I think, was Black Ops 4. But either way, Black Ops 4 COD Champs, they got second. And Nate Chat was commenting on it, whether they were going to replace JCap and Mud Dog. And he basically said that people that were calling for JCap and Mud Dog's heads, figuratively, were kind of insane, and that it wasn't going to happen because, I won't quote him, I'll paraphrase, but he was basically saying that JCap is a very smart player from when he was a player, and obviously Nate Shot played with him, played against him. He has a lot of experience, presumably like behind the scenes with JCap, and JCap has been a part of the Thieves organization for a little bit now. And the same with Mud Dog. He commended him on the Black Ops 4 roster and everything. And he did admit that they do need work in search and destroy, and that he was, or the organization rather, was exploring options to add a search and destroy coach to help them in that game mode. And he also mentioned Parasite, because people have been kind of vouching for Parasite since he retired from competing, and he's been looking for I think more like a full-time job in Call of Duty esports, and people have been suggesting him as a possible coaching replacement, or just maybe an addition to the coaching staff for the LA Thieves. And he seemed pretty hesitant to do that based on Parasite's reputation as a player. Maybe a lot of that has changed, I don't really know, but his reputation was that he was incredibly toxic and hard to work with, and that seemed to be Nate Shot's thoughts on him, or it didn't seem like much had changed in his mind. So I think that was a very interesting little bit of his stream. I don't know if you had the chance to watch it, but it was like, I feel I would never call for a coach or a GM's head. Like, I'll do that in traditional sports because they get paid millions of dollars, and like that's a completely different thing. But for like JCap and Mud Dog, I know that they don't get paid millions of dollars, and like mostly like the people that are coaches and GMs of these Call of Duty rosters are former players and people just trying to make their own way in this scene. So I won't call for their heads, but do you think that a coaching change is really what is like the difference between like, an 0-5 LA Thieves roster and maybe a good LA Thieves roster in stage three? Do you think a coaching change has that much impact on a team?
No, I mean, unless there's like drama behind the scenes, which I did watch the video and Nate Shot kind of alluded to it towards the end where he said that like, if all four players came to him or Mud Dog and was like, hey, look, like things aren't working with JCap, we need to move on or something, then they would consider a change. He didn't say that was happening, that was hypothetical, but barring something like that happening or there's like just some drama and stuff behind the scenes we don't know about, I don't think a coaching change is like, you know, gonna miraculously change things for the Thieves here, unless I don't know. I don't know much about JCap as a coach, just because he hasn't been doing it that long, really. But I feel like the upper tier of coaches right now, you got to say it's like Crowder and Rambo. So unless like you somehow are able to get one of them, like I don't know exactly what coaching change could be made. That's a huge upgrade. I've always kind of like Nate was saying in the video. I think Jacob's a really smart player, so it makes sense that he has the potential to be a smart coach. And I did like how he mentioned the potential to bring on, an S&D coach or analyst or something like that to try to help. Um, I don't know exactly who they would bring on in that capacity. Because like Tupac is with with Bays, sorry. Um, Equip is with Seattle. Um, maybe I mean Teddy was formerly with Seattle as an S&D coach. Maybe he's someone they could target, but regardless, I think that would be more beneficial to them, especially with their struggles in S&D when they were performing well. Kind of right now, like they need to work on everything. So I don't think an S&D coach is the immediate answer either. But like if they were in their previous like stage one, I don't want to say stage, but whatever. If they were in the past form that we saw in the last group of matches and major, where they were like dominating in hardpoint and only struggling in S&D, then I think an S&D coach is like a great move they can make. I think it's a great move regardless, but then it makes more sense then as opposed to now where they're just like struggling all around.